Listen, I'm going to say something that's going to piss you off, and I don't give a shit. You need to hear it. You're soft. Pathetically, disgustingly, generationally soft. And that softness is the exact reason you're broke. Not the economy, not your boss, not the system. You, your softness, your desperate constant need for comfort is bankrupting you, and you don't even fucking see it. Niccolò Machiavelli lived in a world where soft men died. Not eventually, quickly. If you couldn't handle discomfort, if you needed someone to validate your feelings before you made a decision, if you required ideal conditions to perform, you were gone, killed, forgotten, erased from the gene pool like nature intended. And the men who survived, the ones who built Florence, who created empires, who wrote books we still read 500 years later, they were hard, not because they wanted to be, because they had to be. Comfort wasn't an option. Softness was death. So they became what they needed to become, and we remember them. While the soft men of their era are dust, nobody knows the name of. You are the descendant of those hard men. Genetically, every man in your bloodline survived conditions that would break you in a week. They didn't have therapy. They didn't have mental health days. They didn't have motivational Instagram accounts telling them it's okay to be weak. They had reality, and reality is a harsh fucking teacher. But you've been raised in the softest time in human history. You have heating, air conditioning, food delivered to your door, entertainment on demand. You never have to be cold or hungry or bored or uncomfortable in any way. And you think this is good. You think comfort is the goal. You think the point of success is to insulate yourself from all difficulty. And that's exactly why you're fucking broke. Let me show you how this works. Every time you choose comfort over discomfort, you are training yourself to be softer. Every time you hit snooze instead of getting up. Every time you order food instead of cooking. Every time you avoid a hard conversation. Every time you stay in a job you hate because leaving would be uncomfortable. Every time you choose the easy path over the right path, you are practicing weakness, and you are getting better at it. And weak men are poor men. Not always immediately, but eventually. Always eventually. Because the skills that create wealth are the same skills that require you to endure sustained discomfort, discipline, delayed gratification, doing hard things when you don't feel like it, tolerating uncertainty, persisting through failure. These are not comfortable activities. And if you have trained yourself to avoid discomfort at all costs, you will avoid the exact activities that would make you money. Look at your life right now. How much of it is organized around avoiding discomfort? You stay in the job that underpays you, because looking for a new one is uncomfortable. You don't start the business because failure would feel bad. You don't have the hard conversation with your partner because conflict is uncomfortable. You don't go to the gym because being out of shape in public is embarrassing. You don't learn the skill because being a beginner is humiliating. Every single thing you're not doing, every opportunity you're not taking, every risk you're not running, it's all because you're soft. And the cost of that softness is your entire financial future. Here's the part that's going to make you really uncomfortable. Your grandfather was harder than you, and he made more money, relative to his time, than you ever will. Not because he was smarter, because he could tolerate more pain. He worked physical jobs that would destroy your body. He came home exhausted every day and did it again the next day. For decades, without complaining, without needing validation, without therapy, he just did it, because that's what men did. And you need a mental health day because someone was rude to you in a meeting. You need self-care because work was stressful. You need constant affirmation that you're doing okay, that you're valid, that your feelings matter. You are a psychological infant in the body of an adult man, and psychological infants don't build wealth, they consume it. Machiavelli would look at you with pure fucking contempt. You know what he endured? Torture. Actual physical torture. They strappadoed him, hung him by his wrists with his arms behind his back until his shoulders dislocated. And you know what he did after? He went home and wrote. He didn't need therapy. He didn't need time to process his trauma. He converted the experience into insight and kept moving, because hard men don't stop. They adapt, they endure, they persist. And you're over here needing a participation trophy for showing up. Let me tell you what happens to soft men in a hard world. They get eaten, not literally, economically, socially, professionally. They get passed over for promotions because everyone can sense their weakness. They get taken advantage of in negotiations because they can't tolerate the discomfort of holding their ground. They get stuck in shit relationships because they're too soft to enforce boundaries. They live paycheck to paycheck because they can't delay gratification long enough to save. And they die broke, wondering why life was so unfair to them. Life wasn't unfair. They were soft, and soft men pay the soft tax. The tax of missed opportunities. The tax of underperformance. The tax of being easy to exploit. And that tax compounds over time until you look back at 50 and realize you spent your whole life avoiding discomfort and ended up with a life that is, ironically, deeply uncomfortable. Now here's the good news. You can fix this. Softness is not genetic. It's behavioral. It's a habit. And habits can be changed. But changing this habit is going to hurt, because the cure for softness is deliberate, sustained, voluntary discomfort. And you have spent your entire life running from that. Here's what you do. You start small. Tomorrow morning, when your alarm goes off, you get up, not in 5 minutes, not after you scroll your phone. Immediately, you throw off the blanket and you stand up. It will feel terrible. Do it anyway. You have just practiced being hard. You take a cold shower, not because it's healthy, because it's uncomfortable, because your body will scream at you to stop, and you will ignore your body and finish the shower. You are teaching yourself that you are not a slave to comfort. You work out hard, past the point where it's fun, into the pain. You learn what your body can actually tolerate when you stop listening to the soft voice that tells you to quit. And you discover that the voice is a liar. You can do more than you think. You're just not used to finding out. You have the hard conversation you've been avoiding with your boss, with your partner, with yourself. You say the thing that needs to be said, even though it might cause conflict, because conflict is less expensive than cowardice. You start the thing you've been putting off. The business, the skill, the project. Not when you're ready, now, when you're not ready, when it's uncomfortable, when failure is likely. You do it anyway. And you do this every day. Not because you want to, because you've decided that being hard is more important than being comfortable. And slowly, over weeks and months, you notice something. The discomfort that used to stop you doesn't stop you anymore. You've built tolerance. You've become harder. And the things that seemed impossible when you were soft are now just difficult. And difficult is doable. And then something else happens. You start making more money. Not because you got smarter, because you can now tolerate the discomfort required to negotiate, to sell, to take risks, to persist through failure. Hard men can do things soft men can't, and the market pays for that. Look, I get it. This is harsh. It's not what you wanted to hear. You wanted me to tell you that you're doing fine, that your softness is actually self-awareness, that taking care of yourself is important. And it is. But you're not taking care of yourself. You're avoiding life. And avoidance is not self-care. It's self-destruction in slow motion. The world you live in was built by hard men. Every bridge, every building, every system, every institution, hard men who endured conditions you can't imagine and built things anyway. And now you live in the comfort they created. And you think that comfort is the natural state. It's not. Comfort is what hard men earned for you. And you're wasting it. You have a choice. You can continue being soft. You can keep prioritizing comfort. You can keep making excuses, and you can stay broke. Because soft men stay broke. It's a law of nature as reliable as gravity. Or you can get hard. You can start doing uncomfortable things deliberately. You can build tolerance to discomfort, the same way you'd build a muscle. And you can join the small percentage of men in your generation who decided they would rather endure temporary pain than permanent mediocrity. Machiavelli didn't write The Prince from a place of comfort. He wrote it in exile, broke, forgotten, dismissed. And he wrote it anyway because hard men don't wait for ideal conditions. They create value in the conditions they have. And if you're waiting for things to get easier before you start trying, you're going to be waiting until you die. Stop being soft. Not tomorrow, today, right now. Make one decision today that is uncomfortable, but right, one. And tomorrow, make another. And keep doing that until being hard is your default, instead of being soft. Your grandfather would be ashamed of you. Prove him wrong. Subscribe to Savage Philosophy. We don't coddle. We don't apologize. We tell you the truth you need to hear, even if it hurts, especially if it hurts.